जय जिनेन्द्र। सभी दर्शकों का जैन टॉक के 132वें सेशन में हार्दिक स्वागत है। मैं हूं स्मिता। Today's talk is on a very compelling and powerful topic, which is social consciousness. And it's an honor to welcome our speaker, the scholar of introduction about him. His quest and search for knowing the deeper meaning and purpose of life led him to meet his master, Swami Parthasarthi. That was the point when he decided to quit his corporate job and take up a 6 years long intensive Vedanta studies at Vedanta Academy, Pune, under the guidance and instruction of his master, Swami Parthasarthi ji. And then it's now more than 2 decades that he's spreading the ancient knowledge of Vedanta in his contemporary thought and language. At present, he is heading the Academy's branch in Canada, Toronto. Rangarajan sir has been considered as the most resourceful person to learn how to apply the wisdom of Vedanta in our day-to-day life to improve the quality of living and achieve total wellness. Today's topic, social consciousness, is also very closely related to the Jain way of living. How? Jain lifestyle is about living in the awareness of our surroundings with a conscience of ahimsa, aparigraha, and dayabhav. In fact, जैन समुदाय के मुख्य ग्रंथ तत्वार्थ सूत्र में कर्तव्य और धर्म को परिभाषित करते हुए ऐसा लिखा है कि परस्पर पग्रहो जीवाणाम, अर्थात मन, वचन और काया से आपस में एक दूसरे का उपकार करते हुए को एग्जिस्टेंट अर्थात सह अस्तित्व में रहना ही प्रत्येक जीव का कर्तव्य और धर्म है। जैनिज्म के इसी कॉन्सेप्ट अथवा सिद्धांत को आज हम एक दूसरे एंगल, एक दूसरे नजरिए से वेदांता के स्कॉलर श्री रंगराजन सर के द्वारा जानेंगे। So before I invite him, I would like to invite the founder of Jain Foundation, Mr. Ramesh Kumar sir, who's connected with us from Bangalore. Sir, may I invite you to say a few words before we start the session?
Thank you, Smita. Jai Jinendra, Hari Om. First step to change is awareness. To achieve this awareness, knowledge is essential. And the knowledge we seek today from our esteemed speaker, Guruji Rangarajan, whom I met a year ago through one of his disciples. I consider it my greatest privilege that I had the opportunity to receive a few drops from his wisdom, from his ocean of wisdom about Jainism and Vedanta. His greatest asset is the simplistic, effective way of putting across his thoughts seamlessly, clarifying any doubts or queries. What is social consciousness, you may ask? It is trying to make a change in the world we live in. For me, being socially conscious means to have the awareness that you are the member of the society. Someone said, be greedy for the social change and your life will be endlessly enriched. Vedanta believes the way to eternal bliss is by realizing what action or karma is. Like Vedanta, Jainism also believes in the theory of karma, right faith, right knowledge, right conduct. Together are the called Three Ratna and are the very basis of Jainism. Jainism lays the greatest stress on necessity of character and purity of conduct. Observation of the 5 anuvrats in Vedanta, it is called as yamas, or truth, non-violence, non-stealing, chastity, and non-possessiveness is the basis of right conduct. Self-inquiry and self-awareness is greatly emphasized in Vedanta. There is no difference between Vedanta and Jainism as far as this process of awareness and inquiry is concerned. To understand this better, our forum today has our esteemed guest, who on one request has accepted the invitation and who is here to share his knowledge about consciousness, Vedanta and Jainism. So feel free to clear any doubts or queries you might have after he's enlightened us with his words. Thank you, Guruji. I truly, we on Jain Foundation honored, and I'm truly privileged. And thank you so much for giving your time and accepting our invitation. I welcome Guruji on the platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramesh. Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you so much, Ramesh, once again for sharing your experience with Guruji and very beautifully defining the topic of our today's session. So now I would like to request Rangarajan sir to take up the session. And before that, I would sincerely request to our audience, please keep your video on mode, because this will give us a in-person event experience than just a listening, and the session will become more and more interactive. So this is one sincere request. And now I would like Rangarajan sir to take it over from here and start the session. Namaste, Guruji.
Thank you very much, Smita. Thank you, Ramesh ji. You're all able to hear? The audio is good enough?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because sometimes after the lecture, 45 minutes later, the first question is, they said lecture was fantastic, but we couldn't hear anything. So if the audio is... The topic that Neil has chosen is social consciousness. Social consciousness is an effect of spiritual evolution. When an individual lacks fundamental values in life, all thoughts pertain to us. And that's what is happening in the world today. If you visit the social media pages, everyone holds a flag saying, why me? Why me? Why me? I have our good friend Captain here. He is sitting in Padmasana and attending class. At 80, I don't know whether I'll be in a wheelchair or ICU. While 1 hour, even couple of hours, he can sit in Padmasana. So the mind will not ask, why me? Why should I have this fitness? But when something goes wrong in our life, the mind in all of us says, why me? Why should the internet fail? Why should it happen to me? Why should the electricity fail? Why me? Why should I get 4 daughters? Why not 1 son at least? Why me? So when we lack certain fundamental values of life, all the focus is upon individual, oneself. And anyone who focuses completely on their individuality is inviting sorrow and suffering into their life. And that's what is happening in the world today. You ask anyone, what causes you stress or strain? All of us talk about something outside. He caused me stress. She caused me sorrow. So what is the social consciousness? As Ramesh ji beautifully defined, social consciousness is an awareness. How does this awareness manifest? It manifests as your ability to identify with others, nothing more. Social consciousness doesn't mean you have to start a Bill Gates Foundation. Social consciousness doesn't mean you have to build a church or a temple or a mosque. Social consciousness has got nothing to do with charities that people run. Social consciousness means the ability to identify with another, with others. What is generally understood as unselfishness. The last step in that ladder is selflessness. Very easily we use this word selfless. He is a very selfless person, we say. A Buddha can be conferred this title. A Mahavir can be conferred this title. A Christ can be conferred this title. Not any one of us who just help another person. That too with a motive of taking something in return. So selflessness is spiritual excellence. But what we can try is unselfishness in life. We can think about others. A few years back when I used to live in Dubai, it was a very hot summer day. We returned to Chennai to visit our parents. Late night flight. Late evening flight. It was about 7:30. We reached home. And as soon as we entered the house, the air conditioning conked off. I told my brother, air conditioning is not working in the bedroom. He immediately called the person. He came at around 8:20. He brought a small auto, disconnected the air conditioning from the window, kept it in the auto, repaired it, refueled the gas in it. By the time he fixed and it was running, it was 11:10 p.m. His name is Murugan. I asked him, he was smiling. He said, sir, cooling. Perfect cooling, sir. Perfect cooling, sir. You're okay, sir? He said, thank you, Murugan. I'll be able to sleep better. Then it occurred to me, Murugan, what AC do you have in your house? He laughed and said, I don't have even a fan. Forget a AC. That night, I could not sleep. This is what happens when you have a guru in life. You cannot sleep, but you wake up with, you get out of your bed with energy. The sleeplessness from stress drains us. The sleeplessness from spiritual values energizes us. Here is a person who is happy looking at the air conditioning working, very well knowing he is going to sleep on the hot floor without a fan in his house. So what is that we could do to him? We can't provide a AC because he may not have a compatible electricity connection. At least a fan we can provide. 600 rupees, 700 rupees. So the ability to think of another, or the mind could say, this air conditioning, 7 years we are using, every 4 months it is conking off. Look at the neighbor. He has a split AC. He has this, he has that. Every 2 years he changes his interiors. Why me? The opposite of social consciousness is selfishness. So what is the formula of social consciousness? Social consciousness is directly proportional to your ability to identify with others, inversely proportional to selfishness. We can give a lecture on social consciousness, but we can't live it if we are selfish. We can give a lecture, we can enthrall listeners, we can write books, articles, get awards also. But the ability to identify with others is a very different quality, because the natural tendency of the mind in us is to identify with oneself. Your wife boards a bus, 9 p.m. 6 a.m. she is going to reach her hometown. And you're tracking the bus. Where is it reached? 12 midnight. 1 a.m. Everything is on the map. 1:15 you see the bus is stuck in the place. 1:45 you see the bus is stuck in the place. You're trying to call the transport company. What are you worried about? Are you worried about the 45 passengers or just one person? I'm worried about my wife. Now, assuming separation happens between the couple, A and B, A is the husband, B is the wife. This guy is worried about B. 2 years later, he has divorced B and marries C. He boards C into the bus. 6 a.m. she reaches. 1:15 the bus is stuck. B could also be in the same bus. Now, who is he worried about? Is he worried about B or C? So all our worries are related to us. My wife I worry about. My husband I worry about. My father I worry about. My mother, my son, my daughter, my company, my entities, my pet dog, my problems. We fall in love with our problems This is the tendency of the mind. The tendency of the mind is it celebrates sorrow more than joy. It's a psychological truth. Self-pity, it celebrates more than joy. Only a human being has the choice of action. All other beings don't have any choice. The action that we perform, this action of speaking on this topic, is happening through the body. But it is not the body that is talking. It is not the body that is listening to this talk from your side. The physical body performs action. Within each and every one of us, there are two invisible people sitting, two invisible residents. They are called as manas and buddhi, mind and intellect. Every religion talks about it. Whether it is Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Jainism, all religions talk about it. All religions are paths leading us to the goal of self-awareness. So an action is performed by the body. Beyond the body is manas and buddhi, mind and intellect. Mind is the feeler in us. What is the mind? Mind doesn't think. People believe the mind should be used to think. You can't use the mind to think. The mind feels, is the feeler in us. The mind feels various emotions, impulses. What is the impulse? First 30 seconds, we either like the talk or we hate the talk. We see a person, within a second we have fallen in love with the person, got attached to the person, or hate the person and get averse. After that, whatever they do will look wrong to us. This is the mind. The mind functions based on feelings, impulses. The mind keeps rambling. It can't stay steady. That is why we say keep the video on. If the video is off, your mind will say, this fellow is shouting. He will end in 25 minutes. Let me do the phone. Let me switch on the TV. Let me read the newspaper. Let me do this. Let me do that. So the nature of mind is to ramble. The nature of mind is to feel emotions, impulses. The mind entertains likes and dislikes and desires. Opposed to the mind is the intellect, which is called as buddhi. If you have a buddhi, which all of us have, if you know how to use your buddhi in all aspects of life, you are called a Buddha. Though having a buddhi, if you don't use your intellect, your buddhi in life, you call such a person, what is it, Smita? One who has a buddhi but doesn't use, what do you call that person?
Buddhu.
Buddhu. That's all. Buddhi is intellect. Buddha means profound intellect. Buddhu means unused intellect, brand new. After 78 years also, double the price you can pay because it has never been used. Antique it is. So the mind and intellect, the intellect functions based on thoughts and ideas. The primary function of intellect is to observe. Mind rambles, intellect observes. Opposed to feelings, impulses, the intellect thinks, reasons, and decides. The mind simply desires. It entertains likes and dislikes, but the intellect evaluates what is beneficial, what is detrimental. Mind desires. Everyone desires a six-pack ab, size 0 fitness. Everyone has a desire. Problem is not that. All of us have that desire. But parallelly, we have a desire to eat 4 samosas a day. So the mind only can entertain desire. It cannot reason out. It can't say, I can't have these two desires in the same basket. Either have the desire for fitness or I go ahead with the samosas. I can't have both. It is the intellect that makes a choice. The intellect evaluates what is beneficial, what is detrimental. So a mind-driven person becomes complacent in life. Complacent means whatever is there is okay. So what if I have blood pressure? So what if I have sugar? I'll take tablets. So what if I have to go for bypass? I have saved money for that. 1.5 lakhs is there. If you are in Canada, very easy. Just swipe the card and get admitted. No need to spend for that also. So what is the problem? This is complacency. The mind reconciles to its current state. There is no urge to improve in life. Therefore, the person becomes selfish and self-centered. When you employ your intellect and use it in life, you become explorative. I am a Hindu, but what is Jainism talking about? Why does Jainism say don't eat garlic and onion? Is there anything I can learn from it? The intellect can explore, but the mind fits into a small circle. I am a Hindu, I won't listen to a Muslim preacher. I am a Muslim, I won't listen to a Pope. The bread we eat comes from Christian land. The hummus that we consume comes from the Arabic land. To eat one masala vadai, entire India has to unify. You know that? Ramesh ji, you think about it. Next time when you go to a restaurant and order a masala vadai, so many aspects go into making a masala vadai. 8 states in India have to participate supplying commodities to make a masala vadai. And you need a Madrasi to fry it. 9th state. Punjabi fries it, you won't get it right. Kashmiri fries it, you won't get it right. Madrasi has to fry it. Then you get it right. Right, Payal? 9 states have to unify in order to fulfill your taste for a masala vadai. If you have to have wholesome experience in life, how can you afford to fall into compartments? I'm a capitalist, I'm a communist, I'm a socialist, I'm an atheist, I'm a theist, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Brahmin, I'm a Vaishya. We can't afford to fall into these compartments. The intellect becomes explorative. The intellect is that which explores and invites thoughts and ideas. Then a person is capable of building the social awareness. When we use the word intellect, it doesn't mean intelligence. Intelligence is different, intellect is different. Intelligence is knowledge, skill, information in a particular subject. An intelligent lawyer, an intelligent architect, an intelligent scholar in Vedanta, a very intelligent psychiatrist or psychologist. Find me one psychologist who is consulted by his daughter or his son, her daughter or her son. If you're a psychologist, your family members will go to some other psychologist. They won't come to us. Why? We have intelligence. We don't have an intellect. Intellect means the capacity to use any knowledge to build one's personality. Intelligence means you outsource it to others. So IT guy could be very intelligent in making banks work, but he may not even take a picture of a washing machine bill at home. The warranty is not expired. Machine doesn't work. He's going around searching everywhere. But that guy makes a bank work. Intelligence is there. Intellect is not there. Computer has all the intelligence. It has zero intellect. So intelligence is that which is gained from external source. Intellect is built with values of life. When it comes to values of life, when it comes to knowledge, all religions are talking about the same ideas. There's no difference. The difference between various religions are only when it comes to rituals or way of life. A Sikh wears a head cap to go into the temple. A Hindu doesn't have to wear a head cap, but a Hindu removes the slippers and goes into a temple. You go to a church, you light a candle. You go to a temple, you light an oil lamp. Both mean the significance of lighting knowledge in your life. So if the oil lamp is running out, you don't have to say, I'm not a Christian, I won't light a candle. It has got nothing to do with Christianity. The significance of lighting a candle or an oil lamp is inviting knowledge into life. So the intellect explores. When we explore life with reference to higher values, we evolve spiritually. Social consciousness can be gained. How does the social consciousness manifest in life? In all the religions, they have talked about it. I am referring to how Vedanta brings it. It talks about entire life being a spell of indebtedness. The Hindi word rin means debt. Rina in Sanskrit means indebtedness. So Vedanta talks about 5 types of debts everyone has. Even if you say, Gary, my mortgage is fully paid, no debts I have. you still have 5 debts. Rameshji, you can say, I have cleaned up all the debts. I don't owe anything to anyone. You have 5 debts. The moment you are born from your mother's womb, every human being has these 5 debts. The purpose of any religion is to make us aware that you have these 5 debts. And in your life, you should attend to these 5 debts. The 5 debts are, the first is called as Rishi Rina. The Sanskrit word Rishi Rina means our indebtedness to sages and saints, our spiritual masters. In Jainism, you call them Tirthankaras. Tirthankaras means enlightened beings. Those who have crossed this birth of cycle and death and merged with the God consciousness. They are the Tirthankaras. What does the word Tirthankara means? A person who has crossed not the border and gone to Dubai. A person who has crossed ignorance of one's real being and identified with that Atma inside a person. That is a Tirthankara. So, Rishi Rina means indebtedness to these masters who understood their Atma and communicated it to us. Or else humanity will be grouping in darkness. Because of the tough life they live, we are able to gain certain values to streamline our life today. Basic values, they provided us. They showed us how to live. Rishi Rina is indebtedness to the sages. The next is called as Deva Rina. Devas means forces of nature. In Vedanta, it is forces of nature. In Hinduism, Devas means Varuna, Indra, Surya, Agni. These are nothing but personification of nature. Agni means fire god. It's so easy to narrate it to a child. A child believes that there is a Superman, there is a Batman. Smita, don't tell your daughter there is no such person called Batman. Huh? She won't be able to take it. For her, there is a Batman, there is a Superman, there is a Spider-Man. And where is he? He is there in the Disneyland. Same child at the age of 5, 6, 7 will understand there is no such thing called a Superman. There is no person called Spider-Man. These are fictitious characters. There is a person wearing all this mask. Similarly, Devas means Vayu, Indra, Agni, or personification of forces of nature. What are the forces of nature? Space, air, fire, water, earth, the 5 elements. Common to all human beings. Space, air, fire, water, earth, because of which life is possible here. What's happening between Russia and Ukraine now? The airspace is closed. Air, even if you go to the basement and stand upside down, you get oxygen. Fire, there is fire that is retaining the body's temperature. Water, 60% of your body is water, 60% of the world is ocean. Earth, your body is derived from earth, the food that you eat that comes from earth. So awareness that my existence is possible because of these 5 elements is Deva Rina. The third is Pitru Rina. Pitru Rina means your indebtedness to your ancestors, your predecessors. I live in Canada. I've heard stories from people who went to Canada 30, 40, 50 years back. Maybe Gary has experienced it. Srinivas and Captain has experienced it. When they landed in Canada, there was no Indian grocery store. They had to drive 60 kilometers to buy rice. So every Saturday, they call each other. They all assemble at a particular place and say, who's driving 60 kilometers? And that fellow collects a note from everyone. How many kilos of rice you want? How many kilos of atta you want? How many kilos of a particular grain you want? One person goes and picks up for everyone and they split and share. Next week, another person goes. All these people got together and thought about, is this how we want to live? Why not have an Indian community center? Why not have an Indian grocery store? Why not have an Indian temple? Why not have a Jain mandir? Why not have a mosque for Muslims here? Our predecessors thought about it. Today, when we go and land in Canada, everything looks Indian. You don't have to just call the grocery store, he comes and delivers. Rao sir, it's exactly like our Abu Dhabi life. It's not as easy as Abu Dhabi life. You still have to drive. So how is that you have all the comforts and convenience of India sitting in Toronto? Your predecessors thought about it. Of course, they wanted to do it for themselves, but they left it behind for you, for me, for all of us. So an indebtedness to our predecessors and our ancestors who streamlined everything at home, in your family. They gave us an identity. The fourth type of indebtedness is Manushyarina. Rameshji was kind enough to host me in his house for a few days. 2 guys cooked and served us delicious food. Right, Ramesh? Morning, noon, and night. My stomach is even now full. I can put a laptop on my stomach. That big the belly has become because of the food he fed me. Gary, you don't know what I went through. If torture could happen in a different way, you go to Ramesh's house. You can't stop eating. Right? Also, they knock the door and put something in your mouth when you are yawning. This type of 2 guys, they prepared food and gave. After we eat, we can say, where is my chai? Where is my hot water? Don't you know I need hot water? I am a Guruji. Or we can ask, sir, I and Ramesh are sitting and talking and talking and talking. 9:30 we get to the dinner table. What time will you have dinner if we finish by 10:30? From tomorrow, don't wait for us. If you are hungry, take a bite at 7 p.m. The ability to feel for a Manushya who's serving you. We could be cutting millions of dollars of checks to foundations, but we may not be thinking about Murugan who fits your air conditioning. There's no point in living such life. Vedanta says, charity begins at home. At home means within. All our charity is inside home only, not in that sense. Charity begins from within, he says. This is Manushyarina. The final indebtedness we have is Bhutarina. Bhutarina means our indebtedness to beings. What does the word Tirthankara means? A person who has crossed not the border and gone to Dubai. A person who has crossed ignorance of one's real being and identified with that Atma inside a person. That is a Tirthankara. So, Rishi Rina means indebtedness to these masters who understood their Atma and communicated it to us. Or else humanity will be grouping in darkness. Because of the tough life they live, we are able to gain certain values to streamline our life today. Basic values, they provided us. They showed us how to live. Rishi Rina is indebtedness to the sages. The next is called as Deva Rina. Devas means forces of nature. In Vedanta, it is forces of nature. In Hinduism, Devas means Varuna, Indra, Surya, Agni. These are nothing but personification of nature. Agni means fire god. It's so easy to narrate it to a child. A child believes that there is a Superman, there is a Batman. Smita, don't tell your daughter there is no such person called Batman. Huh? She won't be able to take it. For her, there is a Batman, there is a Superman, there is a Spider-Man. And where is he? He is there in the Disneyland. Same child at the age of 5, 6, 7 will understand there is no such thing called a Superman. There is no person called Spider-Man. These are fictitious characters. There is a person wearing all this mask. Similarly, Devas means Vayu, Indra, Agni, or personification of forces of nature. What are the forces of nature? Space, air, fire, water, earth, the 5 elements. Common to all human beings. Space, air, fire, water, earth, because of which life is possible here. What's happening between Russia and Ukraine now? The airspace is closed. Air, even if you go to the basement and stand upside down, you get oxygen. Fire, there is fire that is retaining the body's temperature. Water, 60% of your body is water, 60% of the world is ocean. Earth, your body is derived from earth, the food that you eat that comes from earth. So awareness that my existence is possible because of these 5 elements is Devarina. The third is Pitrurina. Pitrurana means your indebtedness to your ancestors, your predecessors. I live in Canada. I've heard stories from people who went to Canada 30, 40, 50 years back. Maybe Gary has experienced it. Srinivas and Captain has experienced it. When they landed in Canada, there was no Indian grocery store. They had to drive 60 kilometers to buy rice. So every Saturday, they call each other. They all assemble at a particular place and say, who's driving 60 kilometers? And that fellow collects a note from everyone. How many kilos of rice you want? How many kilos of atta you want? How many kilos of a particular grain you want? One person goes and picks up for everyone and they split and share. Next week, another person goes. All these people got together and thought about, is this how we want to live? Why not have an Indian community center? Why not have an Indian grocery store? Why not have an Indian temple? Why not have a Jain mandir? Why not have a mosque for Muslims here? Our predecessors thought about it. Today, when we go and land in Canada, everything looks Indian. You don't have to just call the grocery store, he comes and delivers. Rao sir, it's exactly like our Abu Dhabi life. It's not as easy as Abu Dhabi life. You still have to drive. So how is that you have all the comforts and convenience of India sitting in Toronto? Your predecessors thought about it. Of course, they wanted to do it for themselves, but they left it behind for you, for me, for all of us. So an indebtedness to our predecessors and our ancestors who streamlined everything at home in your family. They gave us an identity. The fourth type of indebtedness is Manushyarina. Rameshji was kind enough to host me in his house for a few days. 2 guys cooked and served us delicious food. Right, Ramesh? Morning, noon, and night. My stomach is even now full. I can put a laptop on my stomach. That big the belly has become because of the food he fed me. Gary, you don't know what I went through. If torture could happen in a different way, you go to Ramesh's house. You can't stop eating. Right? Also, they knock the door and put something in your mouth when you're yawning. This type of 2 guys, they prepared food and gave. After we eat, we can say, where is my chai? Where is my hot water? Don't you know I need hot water? I'm a Guruji. Or we can ask, sir, I and Ramesh are sitting and talking and talking and talking. 9:30 we get to the dinner table. What time will you have dinner if we finish by 10:30? From tomorrow, don't wait for us. If you're hungry, take a bite at 7 p.m. The ability to feel for a Manushya who's serving you. We could be cutting millions of dollars of checks to foundations, but we may not be thinking about Murugan who fits your air conditioning. There's no point in living such life. Vedanta says, charity begins at home. At home means within. All our charity is inside home only. Not in that sense. Charity begins from within, he says. This is Manushyarina. The final indebtedness we have is Bhutarina. Bhutarina means our indebtedness to beings. If we have to extend the house, I'm in Swarna's house in the village now. We have to do a borewell. The mechanic, the guy came and said, sir, please remove the 6 trees or else I can't bring the truck inside. I'll send a person to remove 6 trees, he said. Every tree is older than me, than my father-in-law. One of the trees has been there for 65 years. How can you chop a tree that is living in your own house, that has been giving shade, fruits, flowers, everything to you for 65 years? Just like that, how can you chop? Mercilessly we chop. Therefore, the religions say, start being conscious of ahimsa. You do have to do a borewell. You do have to extend the home. But is there a way you can do it in a non-injurious way? Bhutarina means your indebtedness to the trees that are supplying oxygen and taking the carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide from air they are collecting, recycling and giving oxygen. The dirty water that you pass from the washroom, the coconut tree collects it and gives you wholesome coconut water. It doesn't give you dirty water. You can send dirty water into it. It gives you wholesome coconut water. So bhutas around you are serving you so that your life is possible. Are you aware of it? If we are aware of these five indebtedness, we are practicing social consciousness. You don't have to start an NGO. You don't have to volunteer on weekends. Contrarily, if you do all that and we are not aware of these five debts, we are not living like a human being. 5 types of debts. Every human being has. It doesn't matter man or woman, rich or poor, Chinese or Japanese or Indian, capitalist or communist, Muslim or Hindu or Christian, theist or atheist. Every human being is taking oxygen. We are indebted to nature. So this awareness propels social consciousness. Having developed your intellect, having realized your indebtedness in life, how is that you can pay back? There are 4 ways in which you can pay back to the society. Paying back through sacrificial action is called as yajna. Yajna means havan ritual. In North India, people conduct this havan ritual. Birth means havan, death means havan. Son going abroad for studies is havan. Daughter's birthday is havan. Everything is havan. Havan, havan, havan. What is this havan? Yajna. You throw selfishness into fire and generate knowledge of higher values. This is the ritual of yajna. We don't know the yajna. We are only doing these rituals. Yajna is of 4 types. The first is called as dravya yajna. You can pay back to the society through dravyam, means grains, wealth. The simplest of charity. What is it? Just cut a check. Every religion talks about it. 15% of your earnings, 20% of your earnings, 2% of your earnings. In the Hindu way of life, it says, take a handful of rice before you cook and offer it to the birds. After you have made a meal, make a rice ball and offer it to the crow. The crow knows how to pick its food. It doesn't need you and me, Anita Vimal. Suppose you lock the house and go away. The crow is not going to die. It knows how to take care of itself. But you understand that by occupying a house, you have displaced hundreds and thousands of birds. Is there any way I can give it back to the society, to that tree, to those birds? So first is dravya yajna, material sacrifice. The second is tapo yajna. Tapo yajna means sacrifice of austerity. You may not cut a check, but when something is happening in a temple, in a church or a mosque, you go there in the morning, clean the floor, start cleaning up all the places. You offer to cook food. You do all the services there, not for a remuneration, not to get punya or anything. You just want to do it for others. This is called as tapo yajna. Tapo yajna means physically exerting for no personal profit, for the sake of others. Mother Teresa lived like that. Physically exerted. The third type of yajna is called as yoga yajna. Yoga yajna means uniting with people emotionally and intellectually. A person has gone through a lot of suffering in life. What is that you can do? You don't have to pay hospital bill. Dravya yajna, you don't have to do. Tapo yajna, you don't have to sit next to them and massage their feet. Yoga yajna is just listen to their cry for 5 minutes. You're not the only person who fractured the arm. I've seen thousands of people. What is this nonsense? This could be our attitude. The other is, okay, you're going through a spell in life. I may not donate to your hospital. I may not do anything physically to you, but I can listen to your grief for 2 minutes. Just emotionally lending a shoulder to that person. Yoga yajna. Intellectually being available for that person. Giving knowledge of physics or chemistry to children. Paying their scholarship. One person comes out with education, entire family is rescued. Right? One person in this village, the family known to us is doing. One person, father and mother are farmers, not even farmers, they work in farms. This guy got an admission in medical college. He could not pay the fee. He joined an arts college. So we pulled him up and said, medical college, you got a medical course, not doctors, MBBS, but a different course. Why didn't you go? He said, there's no money at home. So we arranged a person who took him to the bank. We signed a surety, which is hardly 3 lakhs. Entire 4-year course is less than 3 lakhs. 3 lakh surety we signed, gave a loan, paid for his rooms and other things. And this guy said, if one person gains education, entire family comes out of poverty. This is called yoga yajna. But the highest is called as swadhyaya jnana yajna. What is Jain Foundation doing? Jain Foundation is trying to spread higher values of life. What is Vedanta Academy trying to do? Spread knowledge of higher values of life. Swayam Adhyaya is Swadhyaya. Through self-study, you gain wisdom of these values, the knowledge of self, and pass it on to others. You don't catch hold of people in the streets and lecture to them. Those who are interested in gaining that knowledge. Not with the arrogance and ego that I am the teacher, you are the student. Some master took pity on me and taught me the fundamentals of life. It has made a phenomenal difference to my life. Is there any way this can be passed on to another person? What will I get out of it? The moment you ask this question, you are a philosophy professor. You're not doing Swadhyaya and Jnana. I will teach philosophy. How much will you pay me? That's what a professor asks in Banaras Hindu University. Swadhyaya and Jnana means you develop and evolve yourself. You become a reservoir of wisdom to share that knowledge and the spiritual unfoldment with people, if they are interested. This is what our masters did. So what is social consciousness? Your ability to identify with others. Why is that we are not able to identify with others? Because we are mind-dominated people, not intellect-dominated people. Mind is dominating in us. We are dominated by personal likes and dislikes. There's a conflict between mind and intellect all the time. And that is what is represented in all the religions. So what is the source of Buddhism? What is the source of Jainism? What is the source of Sikhism? What is the source of Hinduism? What is the source of Christianity? What did Christ mean when he said Father in heaven? There is no answer in Bible. What did Muhammad mean when he said Allah? Allah means the great supreme. Islam means faith and surrender. What did he mean by those words? There is no answer there. Where do we get the answer? What is the source literature for all this? The Vedas are the source literature. Vedas don't belong to any religion. Hindus think that Vedas belong to Hinduism. No, Hinduism is derived from Vedas. Islam is derived from Vedas. Buddhism is derived from Vedas. Then why they are not talking about Vedas directly? Because having digested the Vedic truths, different masters gave out the knowledge to a particular set of audience during a particular time. Buddha and all the Jaina Tirthankaras were royal Kshatriyas. They had seen bloodshed. They had to speak about non-injury. You understand? You can't go to a South Indian and say, don't fight. Fight means South Indian will run away. You have to tell a Punjabi, don't fight. Right? Defending the borders. South Indian will go and jump into the well. Punjabi, all the time, they are defending the borders of the nation. You have to tell them, don't lose your cool. Because it is there in the blood to defend. Normally, South Indian is timid. Not all South Indians are. Some South Indians are very different. So, these masters gave out the knowledge to a particular audience at a particular time. Buddha and Mahavira spoke to royal Kshatriyas. Their fundamental philosophy was non-injury. Now, who are you injuring to talk about non-injury? That alone cannot make a way of life for us. Using these values, which are the door and window, we have to go to the root. Then we evolve. Wholesome knowledge we get. Pizzas and pastas we eat. Juices and cocktails we take. BMWs, Mercedes-Benz and Teslas we drive. iPhones and Samsungs we use. Everything upgrades in life. Two things that don't upgrade at all, intellect and religion. We don't upgrade an intellect. When did you download the latest version of your intellect? What do you mean latest version of intellect? When did you download the latest version of your own religion? What do you mean latest version of your religion? We don't know. That is why youngsters don't take it. We are ready to spend billions of dollars to promote our own religion. No youngster comes. Why? Because the religion that we are talking about, all religions, is completely outdated. It is exactly like, Gary, you buying a black phone. You remember the dialing phone? I'm sure you've used it. You buy that and give it to your granddaughter. What will she do? She'll throw it on your face. They need an iPad. They need an iPod. They need an iPhone 13. So just as we won't pass on a black phone which we used 70 years back, we can't pass on something that was given out by a prophet 600 years back. We have to contemporize the same values. We don't have to change it. We don't have to reinvent it. We just have to translate it into today's terms. So what is Vedanta? Vedanta is not another religion agreeing with some religions or opposing another religion. Vedanta means knowledge of life, which is common to all religions. The word Veda means knowledge. Anta means end. Vedanta means highest knowledge that you can gain. It is not physics. It is not mathematics. It is not business management. It is knowledge of your own self that is highest. Now, what does Vedanta talk about? Vedanta talks about three things. First is nature and composition of human being. Nature means sattva, rajas, tamas. Sattvic food, rajasic food, tamasic food. We all know. This is nature. The food that you eat will be conducive to build a particular nature. Therefore, eat the right type of food, said the masters. What is composition? Body, mind, and intellect. You are composed of body, mind, and intellect. So Vedanta talks about you. Second is nature of world and how to associate with the world. You are the subject of Vedanta. World is the subject of Vedanta. The third is the reality that is beyond individual and the world. You, world, and God. Education is Vedanta. As you gain the primeval knowledge from the Vedas, a Muslim will understand Islam better. A Hindu will understand Hinduism better, the Bhagavad Gita better, the Upanishads better. A Christian will understand the Bible better. Our own religion becomes easy for us. Water is spirituality. Coca-Cola is religion. Water is spirituality. Pepsi is religion. The fundamental substance in Pepsi, Coke, Miranda, Fanta is nothing but water. Water doesn't belong to Pepsi. Water doesn't belong to Fanta. Water doesn't belong to Coke. The distilled substance only belongs to Coke. The distilled substance only belongs to Pepsi. The fundamental material in all is water. Similarly, the fundamental knowledge in all religions and all faiths is called as Vedanta. It doesn't belong to any religion. Today, this knowledge is lost. Every 200, 300 years, it happens so that a master comes and contemplates it. This is the beauty of our nation, Bharat. Buddha and Mahavira happened in Bihar. It is said that Christ came here and studied the Vedas. Hundreds and thousands of sages and saints, self-realized masters gave out this knowledge. Today, we don't have access to this knowledge at all. How can we teach anything to the youngsters? Forget youngsters. We don't know what the books are talking about. So all the religions are talking about the self within. Emerson says, every man is divinity in disguise, God playing the fool. This is what he means. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the American poet philosopher, says, every man is divinity in disguise, God playing the fool. If you go to the Old Testament, voice of God told Moses, I am that I am. It's not a printing mistake. Moses asked God, who are you? He said, I am that I am you are using all the time. I am Smita, I am Gary, I am Ranga, I am Vijay, I am RK. Who's that who's calling oneself RK? Who's that who's calling oneself Ranga? Find that out. That is God. When we come to the New Testament, Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. He who knows his self knows God. Kingdom of heaven is not somewhere outside. It's within you. If you know yourself, you will know God. Prophet Muhammad later came and said, that which you are seeking is nearer to you than the neck of your camel. The pilgrims were going to Mecca and Medina. He stopped and asked them, where are you going? They said, we are going to the house of God. He said, that which you are seeking is nearer to you than the neck of your camel. When you're riding on camel, the camel's neck is here. What could be nearer to you than the neck of your camel? It's your own self he's talking about. When you go to the Vedantic literatures, the Vedas, they emphatically declare, Tat Tvam Asi, you are God. Now you are identifying yourself with this body and calling yourself male or female. You're identifying with your mind and calling yourself happy or unhappy. Identifying yourself with intellect and calling yourself Hindu, Christian, Muslim, capitalist, communist. If you identify with your Atma, you will know what God is, who God is. The central theme of all religions is your own self. How to get this knowledge today? No school teaches, no university teaches. Any religious institution we go, including Hindu religious institution, they only teach you what that particular well is talking about. Liberal ideas are not exchanged, except in forums like this. Where else can you gain? That is why I said pizzas and pastas, Italian, we eat. Bread and toast, which is English, we eat. We have no problem. When it comes to thoughts, why don't we consume from others? Because we don't know the base is common. The base is common to all. When we know that, we have no resistance. We can subscribe to other thoughts. So today, how can we get it? 3 books and a small course that the foundation offers. Payal is going to talk about it. After which, if there are questions, I'll take up.
Payal ma'am, would you like to talk about these books? You
Sure.
can unmute yourself. Yeah. Yeah. You can speak, ma'am.
Hari Om. The 3 basic books on Vedanta are The Fall of Human Intellect, The Holocaust of Attachment, The Eternities Vedanta Treatise. The Fall of Human Intellect offers a deeper study of mind and intellect, the nature of mind and how to develop your intellect. The Holocaust of Attachment examines how an unattended mind breeds attachment and causes stress, strain, and lifestyle maladies in life, and the way to avert such self-inflicted crises. The Eternities Vedanta Treatise is the digest of Vedanta. The treatise is the ultimate composition guiding humanity to spiritual evolution, culminating in self-realization. In order to gain a comprehensive insight into Vedanta and its practical application in life, the Foundation offers an 8-week online study program called Wellness Vedanta. The themes are carefully chosen to provide a bird's eye view of Vedanta, with which understanding any spiritual text becomes easier. For more information on books and Wellness Vedanta program, you may visit www.vedantacanada.org or WhatsApp Swarna on 647-906-9959. Thank you, and over to Rangaji for any questions.
Thank you, Payal. Even before you go to bed, it is forgotten. Next week is too much. So if there is one person who is interested in exploring, having told what the problem is, a prescription should be given. That is why we said these are the books to study. And that is what my master taught me. 3 fundamental books, minimum 3 books. If you say, I need some help in order to study these books, I'm a listener more than a reader. Through another person's mouth, I can learn better. We have this 8-week program. This is the minimum for any human being. Without this, there's no way we can get the fundamentals. That is why we wanted to mention it. If any one of you have a question, please feel free to ask.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Rangarajan sir. It was a very thought-provoking session till now. So, and you brought the social consciousness aspect in today's session with so many terminologies and how it appears in one's life. What Vedanta says through Rina, the Pancharin that you spoke about, and how can we work towards it is through Yajna. So it was very, very nice, educative session. Thank you so much, sir. So now, through our audience, any questions that you have, you can type on the chat box, or you can raise your hands. I'll take you in. You can directly ask your questions. So the platform is open. Make use of it. All right. Meanwhile, I have few questions already sent to us. So I will ask a couple of them. So it's a pretty big one. It says that while social consciousness can be a relatively new term, The idea of what is it is essentially means does not seem to be modern. It appears as though it has been the first step in every development that mankind has achieved. How does this idea of social consciousness relate to the ancient Indian tradition?
I don't know what you exactly mean by ancient Indian tradition. And I don't know what is meant by it doesn't seem to be new. The oxygen we breathe is not new. The space we live in is not new. So the question is not whether something is offered as latest, new, or old. The question is it relevant to me today? That is why I gave the example of phone. If I bring you a phone, a dialing phone, buy it from an antique shop for 50,000 rupees. That those days it used to be 500 rupees. Now 50,000 rupees from an antique shop and gift it to you with all love and affection. Will you connect it and use it in the house? Instead, 10,000 rupees mobile phone, if I gift you, it will be useful to you. How old, how ancient, how antique it is of no point, no relevance. Is it of any use to me now? Is the question. From that point of view, social consciousness is a fundamental human obligation because no animal has an obligation to give back anything. They just live a mechanical life. A human being has choice. Since we are making a choice, cutting down trees and building homes, having built that home, offer a handful of food every time you eat to the birds. A tiger doesn't have this duty. A bird doesn't have this duty. As a human being, you have a conscience. Therefore, you have a duty. That duty is called a social consciousness. Next.
Very well said, sir. Thank you so much. Then another question is a pretty basic one. You spoke about mind and intellect, and it appears that mind is formed based on our habits, our decade-old habits and all. So just wanted to ask that does intellect arises from a finer mind, or it's always there in a dormant state in us? How does it forms and how does it start showing, and like what are the steps? Are there any steps involved in it?
Very unfair, Smita. You give me 25 minutes and I'm literally running on a treadmill trying to complete 6 slides minimum knowledge. Huh? Minimum I need is 3 days. 3 full days I'm doing a retreat. People are paying through their nose to book a resort. I don't guarantee anything in 3 days except good food. Anu, don't think you're going to get knowledge. Huh? You're not going to get any knowledge. You will get excellent soup, excellent salad, 5-course meal, best Chinese, best sushi, best Thai food. Knowledge, if possible, we'll think about it. This is the guarantee in 3 days. 22.5 minutes you give me and say how to develop the intellect. Give me a chance, Mita. Huh? This is not practicing ahimsa. You're injuring my reputation now. Jain means you should practice ahimsa. How to develop the intellect? I gave you the prescription. Intellect is developed by study, reflection on higher values of life. Intelligence is developed by going to a university, college, to a school. Intellect cannot be developed. All corruption is happening because of people who are highly educated. The Ukraine-Russia war is happening because of people who are excellent in intelligence, zero in intellect. Right? If one person has an intellect, there cannot be a fight in the family. How to develop the intellect? By going to the values that your own faith talks about. You don't have to go to some other religion. But today, Hindus don't understand the Gita. Muslims don't understand the Quran. Christians don't understand the Bible. Buddhists don't understand the Dhammapada. Why? Their knowledge is not put in contemporary thought and language. Shakespearean plays can we read and understand 300 years back? We need a person to teach us. So today's contemporary thought and language, the same knowledge has to be interpreted, which is the 3 books I said. By study and reflection on these values, you can develop your intellect. What is intellect? Different dimensions of intellect. How to develop each and every aspect is a 1-hour session. Minimum is 1 hour that is required. But I've just given you a direction.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Another question, which is again appears to be very basic. So this is about difference between self-consciousness and social consciousness. So again, if the self-consciousness, do we consider it as a lower awareness, and social consciousness living at that level, higher awareness? And is that self-consciousness not important then, because we have to live on from a higher awareness, something like that?
Excellent question.
Yes.
By self-consciousness, if the person means individual consciousness, it is lower. Smita being conscious of herself is lower. By self-consciousness, if you mean the Atma in Smita, which is the Atma in Gary, which is the Atma in Selini, which is the Atma in Arulanandam, Atma is the same. That is higher. Atman, the self, is higher. Ego, the individual, which calls itself as Vijay, as Gupta ji, as Rangarajan, that is lower. So is self-consciousness lower or higher to spiritual social consciousness? Answer is, if by self you mean the individual, Jiva, it is lower. If you mean the Atma, it is higher. Next, please.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. And the last one, which is a little twisted because it involves economy and politics. So it just goes like, the idea of social consciousness, being aware of the problems and issues that surround the society, seems essential for the development of infrastructure, economy, science, business, etc. How do you think can governments employ the idea of social consciousness for the development of nations and states? Do you think it should be a subject that should be taught to individuals who aspire to work in the administration?
Perfectly right. Who selects the government? There is nothing called government. There is nothing called society. There is nothing called country. There is nothing called world. All these are nothing but collection of human beings. No zebra or giraffe rules India, Canada, or any country, right? National animal, we say tiger, but is there a tiger in the parliament? All are shouting like a tiger. That is different. There is no animal in the parliament. So what do we mean by government? Human beings. What do we mean by society? Human beings. What do we mean by company? Human beings. What do we mean by Jain Foundation? Human beings. If there is one human being, he can lift the entire humanity with values. We don't need 100 Mahaviras. One Mahavira who's dead and gone 100 years of back, still ruling the hearts and millions of people. What is the difference? He elevated himself to the highest point and made himself worshipable. One Buddha, one Christ, more than half the world is Christian. You don't need 100 Christs coming. So it is easy to pass the buck upon government and wait till the government does it. Do you wait till the government gives house to all Indians, or you build your own house? Do you wait till the government gives clothes to all Indians, or you buy your own clothes? Do you wait till government gives education to all your children, or you send them to Harvard Business School? When it comes to your service, why do you ask the government to do it? You do what you can.
True, true. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And here are now questions ends. All the questions are, I'm sure, सभी को उनके जिज्ञासाओं की संतुष्टि हुई होगी. So, sir, now we have reached to the trailing part of the session. हम अब विराम की ओर पहुंच चुके हैं. So, on behalf of the Jain Foundation and the entire audience, Rangarajan sir, thank you so much for spending time with us on our Jain Talk platform. It was really indeed a very educative talk we had today. And you have given us a different horizons to think about our duties and how else we can perform. So thank you so much, audiences also. और मैं सभी को ये बतलाना चाहूँगी कि if you want to access this video, you can access the recorded version of it from our Jain Talk YouTube channel. And that the video will be available under the playlist called Jain Talks. And also the video is going to be available on our app called the Jain Talk app. So do avail and please subscribe to our channel and download our app. एंड इसी के साथ सभी दर्शकों की तरफ से मैं अगेन गुरु जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ. एंड थैंक यू सो मच पायल जी एंड सवर्णा जी फॉर हेल्पिंग अस आउट. एंड इसी के साथ आज मैं इस सेशन को यहाँ विराम दूंगी इस मैत्री भावना के साथ. एक हमारा हमारे जैनिज्म में एक मंत्र है विद दैट हम लोग एंड करते हैं हमारे सेशन, विच आई वांट टू से नाउ टुडे. एंड विद दैट विल एंड द सेशन विद योर आपकी परमिशन से रंगराजन सर. ऑलराइट. So this mantra goes for welfare of every being, every living organism around us, and it's something similar to Vasudha Kutumbakam. So it goes like अनुपरमाणु शिव बन जाओ अक्का विश्वनु मंगल थाओ सर्वे जीवे मोक्षे जाओ खामे मी सव्य जीवा खमंतु में लित्ति में सब भूए सु वेरन मंजन केणे सर्वथा सहो सुखी थाओ पाप ना कोई आचरो राग द्वेष थी मुक्त थई ने समता सहु समाचरो